From Los Angeles, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. Now, on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the charts of Nike, Copart, as well as Okta. But first, let's take a look at those major indexes. It's Alyssa Coram here, joined by Ed Carson. And Ed, what a day it was. A lot of volatility, but we finished sharply lower. The Nasdaq down about 1.6%, and intraday was able to recoup some of those losses, but then we took a turn later in the session, surrounded by Fed Chief Jerome Powell.
Yeah,
comments.
I mean, Jerome Powell tried to get things going, but there was a lot of negative China trade news and just a lot of pessimism heading into trade talks. I mean, there was blacklist that the U.S. imposed, China threats of retaliation, U.S. imposing some visa bans on some Chinese officials. Powell came out and said they're going to expand the balance sheet, so the Dow almost turned positive. It got pretty close to that, but boy, just in the end of the day, I mean, yeah, we retook the 50-day line on Friday, but then we lost support, and now again today. I mean, so it just shows you those couple of days wasn't super meaningful in the long run. I mean, it was nice. It kept the rally going, and I mean, the rally isn't finished, but there's still a lot of issues here. I mean, we're stuck below the 50-day, all the major averages. We're sort of heading towards the 200-day. Really heavy selling, that's not good action.
Right. I think the bottom line here, we're still experiencing this heightened volatility. So even when we did last week see those few days like a glimmer of hope, you just have to stay on the edge of your seat, I think, for lack of a better phrase right now, because of all of these headlines that can really move the market either direction very quickly.
Well, and I think we just did a webinar where we'll talk a little bit more about fear and greed and these emotions. I mean, boy, the market goes up and you want to buy, and it's like, oh no, it's selling, and you want to sell. Look, the market's under pressure. You should try to stay a cool head, and if you're in the market, be really limited to, in a limited way.
Yes, very, very good point there. Now let's take a look at a few individual names. We want to start off with talking about Nike, because Nike did fall about 1.5% today, but it was able to come off of its intraday lows. Now Nike, of course, getting caught up in this NBA China spat, but analysts are saying that Nike is not going to get hurt by this.
Yeah, I mean, they may be wrong, but for now, I mean, the market is agreeing with them. The Nike sort of came down sort of close to the buy point, sort of a cup with handle buy point that it broke out of a few weeks ago, but it bounced back, well before, well off its intraday lows. And so even though the market came to session lows, that was doing fine. So that's positive. I mean, Nike's a huge market. China's a huge market for Nike and the NBA.
Right.
Nike has a lot of ties with the NBA and a lot of the players there, and they also have a lot of ties with the local Chinese, basketball leagues. But so that is something to watch. But Nike is among a number of Dow stocks that actually did relatively well today.
All right. Well, we will be keeping tabs on Nike, and now let's pivot our attention to Copart, which is one of these salvaged auto companies, and Copart is holding nicely near a buy point, and we've been keeping tabs on this one since it did initially break out. Got dragged down with some of that volatility that we've seen, but it's been able to bounce back and hold up relatively well, as some of these discount retailers have, while other groups have struggled to hold up.
Yeah, I mean, the market leadership is still in flux, but it does seem like discount retailers isn't actually an area of strength, because we saw a lot of those, Walmart and Target. There was a lot of the specialty discounters going up, but Copart, salvage vehicles, that's definitely on the discount side. That one moving back into buy zone. It had fallen through the 50-day line a few days ago. But the buy point was never, it was never invalid. So it came back. So that's pretty positive action. It's on leaderboard. So this is an area, the whole discount retail, strength, minimum wage hikes, and some other things by bolstering the consumer on that end. So right now, that's an area that's working. It doesn't mean that it's thriving in a massive way. I mean, if the market sells off, this is probably going to be in trouble. But it's holding up better than a lot of places.
Yeah, that's a good point, really putting it into context of what the group is doing. That's something that we're really trying to keep track of, whether it's, a shift from growth to value or into retail and away from maybe some of the software stocks, which, speaking of, let's take a look at a software stock, and that is Okta, because it has been, one of those, I guess you could say, former leaders that got hit pretty hard in September, it's now trying to recover, but we're seeing a little bit of resistance now at that downward sloping 50-day line, that red line on the chart.
Yeah, and there was a number of stocks like that. I mean, ServiceNow, which had actually gotten above it, sort of came back down to it or below it. Atlassian, MongoDB, you interviewed somebody from there.
Yes.
Those are all some stocks that hit resistance at the 50-day line, because the 50-day line can be support, but it can be resistance. I mean, maybe if the market improves, they'll go back through, but this is definitely a test. This is why you don't buy off the bottom. You don't know, is it really going to go up there? There's a lot of overhead resistance. All those people who bought in August and September, or people who bought earlier and saw a lot of their gains go away, they might be selling now. Boy, I want to get out now.
Right.
So it's not a meltdown or anything. It hit resistance at this point. It's obviously going to be an important area for a lot of these stocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the moving averages are very key to keep tabs on. And right now, Okta is about 20% below a potential buy point that we have for this consolidation that is forming for the stock. But that is it for our analysis today. We do have a couple of announcements for everyone. Ed mentioned MongoDB. I was able to interview the CFO on our investing strategies show this week, and we have a new episode every Monday, so make sure you check that out at investors.com/investing strategies. It was a jam-packed show this week. And also, among our other announcements, it is free access week. So you can check out all of our premium features across investors.com for free. Just visit investors.com/free access for all the details on that. And no credit card is required. So now is really a good week to take, I think, big picture, that comes top of mind. I mean, we have so many premium features, but it seems like a pretty pivotal week with all that's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot to sift through, so it's really nice to see something to really get that analysis there.
Yeah, that's right. And Ed, you mentioned our webinar earlier, and although that did already pass, we do have a version of that hits investors.com this week. So make sure you check out that, because it was a really good one with Chris and Scott O'Neill, as you mentioned. Now is a very important time to make sure you're really focused on the rules and what the market is telling you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching today, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.